What about a principle that's like guided you through life that like the people that know you best, they see it lived out in your life? What would be one of those?
I'm gonna say the hope is not a strategy.
Okay.
People are afraid to use that word around me now because they
I hope
know that.
so.
Yeah, they know I'm gonna come at them. It's like, hey, you can hope all you want, but if there's no action behind it,
Yeah.
we're going nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the whole taking action consistently,
Yeah.
not relying on hope or a prayer or something like that. No, it's okay. What can I do?
Yeah.
What is every energy that I can put forward to keep this ball rolling in the right direction?
The collaborative entrepreneur.
Okay, welcome to the Collaborative Entrepreneur. One more podcast. We are building partnerships and trying to grow our businesses. Have you ever wanted to delve into the mind of a person who appears to be going places and learn from their experiences? Well, if you have, you are in the right place, my friend. In today's conversation, I'm going to be talking to an entrepreneur who's growing his businesses and learning as he grows as a husband, as a father, and as a leader all along the way. Our conversation will take a look into his story, what motivates this man and in his business, the wins and the learns along the way, what he's working on today, and what he would like to accomplish in the future. And I know he's going to share with us some valuable insights that's going to help us, lessons he's learned that's going to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And so get yourself a pen, paper, maybe a cup of coffee. I have chosen to get the Star Trek mug. I'm old school when it comes to Star Trek. I don't like the new ones. I don't think as much. But anyway, we're going to get ready to learn from a guest entrepreneur. His name is Aaron Goodwin. Aaron, welcome to the call today.
Tracy, I'm looking forward to being here. Thank you for taking the time and inviting me on. It's exciting.
Absolutely. I love your hat.
Yeah, thank you. Hope's not a strategy. I live. That's my motto.
So true. So true. Okay. So we want to get, for all of my audience, my viewers, give them a little backdrop. Give them a little story about where you've been, how you've come through to where you are today.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Michigan, single mom, raising us. Dad left when I was in sixth grade, and it didn't really want anything to do with us kids. So my mom had to take on a business and raise three children, and live that single parent life while managing. Honestly, me as a horrible son at that point. I was, just cry for attention on everything at that point. But the cool thing is watching my mom hustle all those years. It really subconsciously, I think, put something in my head, which leads to the hustle that I have today. So it was definitely cool watching that growing up. I take a lot of that for granted. And I probably don't tell her as much as I probably should. So this is probably one of those things where I'm going to get off this call and call her. Grew up in Michigan. And my mom always pushed us that, when we were going to college, that she wanted us to move out and to have our own experiences. So I went to a university about an hour and a half away, so not too far away, but it was basically one of those things where she dropped me off and see you in 4 years type of deal. But we'd go home for summers and I'd help her at the business in the summers. A lot of tough work. She owned a moving company, still owns that moving company in Michigan.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They're actually looking to sell. So if you know anybody who wants to buy a moving company in cold Michigan, I know they're looking to sell that. But then when we graduated college, of course, the easy answer would have been to go and work for her full time. But again, she pushed us to no, go do what you're passionate about. Don't work for the family business. You'll be way more successful if you go and do your own thing. And she was honestly right about that. So I went and got a job at a hotel in just north of Detroit, and I lived at home for the first year and just stockpiled money. And that first year went by. I was like, all right, I got enough experience. Packed up, moved all my stuff out to Colorado, really with no plan. Landed a hotel job out there, which, being in the hotel industry is nice because you could literally go anywhere in the world and just apply, and you'll end up with a job. It might not be the job, but at least you get a job because they're always looking for help. So I got a job there, worked through a few management companies, and then landed a pretty sweet gig up in Fort Collins. Did that for about a year and a half. And then there was an opportunity to relocate and have 2 hotels out in San Diego. And I mean, San Diego, California. So it was a pretty easy sell.
Yeah.
So I should rewind a little bit. While I was working at one of the hotels in Colorado, I met this girl, and this girl turned into my wife. When we moved to California, but it was a conversation that we had to have in Colorado, like, hey, do we want to pack up and move to California? And of course, she was like, yeah, let's go. Like, all right, cool. So as my girlfriend, her and I, we moved out to California together. Got an apartment there together. She ended up getting a job she's in the hotel industry as well. So she ended up getting a job at a hotel down the street, and it worked out pretty good. Was there for about 3.5 years. And there was not much more opportunity for growth. I was pretty much capped there. So I started looking around at other companies, Phoenix area, and then found a pretty sweet gig in Indianapolis. It's harder to sell a move from San Diego to Indy, especially with my wife growing up in Indy. But it was definitely a great salary opportunity. So, accepted a regional position where I was able to oversee 15 hotels, and definitely added a huge challenge, a lot of travel and stuff like that. So, but it did get me into an above property position. And since then I've promoted to vice president, now senior vice president.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Obviously tons of money that came with that. So that, that's always a perk, and, a lot of money in Indiana goes a very long way. Yep. So while money started coming in, we saved a lot of money. And at one point we had like $40,000 in the bank account. I'm like, we can't have this money just sitting in a bank account. Like this is
cash
crazy.
Is trash. Is that what goes?
Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy. We got to get rid of this money. So we started looking for investment properties in Florida, and we found a few, and just, God, the deals down there, they were sketchy. Everyone we were working with was like, I don't know. It was just not a good feeling. So finally I was like, screw this Florida thing. Like it's ideally where we want to be, but like we got to figure something else out. So we started looking up in the northern part of Indiana, right at the Lake Michigan, and I started running some analytics on Airbnbs up there. Oh. And these houses were making like 40, 50, upwards of $60,000 a year on Airbnb, and you're buying this $200,000 house, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good cash flow. I mean, it equals, close to $12,000 cash flow a year, $1,000 a month. Woo. Like, all right. So took that 40 grand, bought a house, did some light renovations, threw some furniture in there, put it on Airbnb. We did all the work ourselves. And at that point, my wife found out she was pregnant. So we were commuting 2 hours north every weekend to renovate a house, 2 hours south every weekend. It took us about 6 months. I'm sure if I would have hired somebody to do it, it would have been done in 3. But I was like, nah, we're going to do all this ourselves. We're going to save money. I'm like, how much money did I miss out on because I didn't hire somebody?
That's a great lesson. That's a great lesson right there.
Oh, huge. Because I learned that lesson. And now we hire, and I got a great contractor now who I basically hand him the keys at closing. Like, I'll sign the papers, get the keys, hand it to him, and then I see the house in 2.5 months. Like, it was definitely a lesson learned. So fast forward, we're actually closing on our 7th deal tomorrow, or on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this one, I've learned from using our own money how to like basically scale the business to using none of our own money, using all investors' money at this point. And I basically just show up to sign paperwork and delegate out tasks to people. I might be working maybe 20 to 30 hours on an entire real estate deal. This next one is a pretty big cash out. Like we'll get close to $120,000 back on the deal, plus $500, and that's not like a flex or anything, but that's like, wow, that's the power of real estate and finding good deals. But again, it goes back to like taking the time to do the math and make sure it all works out. Wow. We've been able to kind of streamline I call it like a math process where I just look at just raw data of the numbers, and I have like a whole calculator that does it for us now. And like I said, we maybe put 30 hours of work into the entire deal. So 30 hours of work, $120,000 paycheck at the end. I don't know. It makes sense to me.
Oh my goodness. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my, this is monetized, right? So like how to close your deal in 30 hours or less of your time or whatever. And like you develop a process, gone through it 7 times come Friday. And what a great story.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because you hear it all the time on TikTok with all these investors. Like, I do this with other people's money. It's like, no one ever tells you how. They'll give you some fundamentals, they'll teach you, but it's like, no, how do I get a private money investor to have the confidence to write me a check for $50,000 to go buy a house? How do I find a hard money lender that will take me seriously to buy a house? Now, those ones are a little bit easier. It's the private money though, that, you have to convince somebody that, hey, Tracy, you're going to write me a $50,000 check. And at the end of the deal, I'm going to give you that $50,000 back plus interest. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in America are very skeptical of that. So it's tough conversations, and honestly, that was the thing I feared the most, but I just started having them and I'm like, oh shit, this is easier than I thought.
I've heard that so often, that like those tough conversations that people avoid, actually, when you enter the danger and have that, like I think some people that I've coached before, they'll say, I just don't know how to have this. Well, what's the one thing you don't want to have? Well, I don't want to right? Whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, then you won't. Well, no. How do I know? How do you know I won't? Because it's already on your radar not to.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I want to have this great conversation because I want to lead to this outcome. Then it will, because that's what you're driving towards. That's where you're focusing your energy.
Yeah, I didn't realize how easy it was going to be, because I just started, and one of my courses, it's a 12-week course. And I didn't mention, so while I was doing all the deals, I'm like, I got to teach people how to do this as well, because that's the one thing. So I started a coaching business, and it's very, very new. We're only 3 clients big at this point, but we're only 3 weeks into it. So I was 1 client a week. That's not a bad. And after this call, I actually have another onboarding call. So that potentially fourth. But it is interesting. And in one of those courses, I talk about, like, literally, and it's a hard thing to grasp because there's a lot of closed-minded people around us, is everybody you come in contact with now, you have to talk about money. It doesn't matter who it is, your neighbor. It doesn't matter if it's the mailman. It doesn't matter if it's your mom, your grandma, and your grandma's going to tell you you're crazy. Your mom's going to tell you you're crazy. But here's the thing. And my mom did. My mom said, like, you're going to stop wasting your money on this, stop spending money on this. But now that we're bringing in cash flow plus on the cash out refinance, we get more money from the bank. So basically debt that I can leverage towards another deal. I now have my parents, my mom, who was skeptical like a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago, saying, how do I get in on a deal? how do I, because they see what I'm paying other people. Yeah. And I tell my friends all the time, like, I would rather pay you money than lenders. Yeah. Like, I'm fine with paying lenders 12%, whatever, but I'd rather pay you. And I'll pay you the exact same I pay the lenders. I'm okay with that. I'm okay for paying for money. Yeah. I'd rather my friends start making money off of me than lenders, which my lender, I'm nothing against my lender, Todd. He's awesome. I highly recommend him. Like, he's been a mentor / coach to me as well through this whole process. And I plan on doing all my deals with him, unless I get some big capital funding. But like, I don't know. You're gonna have a lot of people that tell you, "Oh, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. You're gonna waste money. You're losing money." Man, when you get I can't wait to get that big check and just post it on Instagram. And be like, guys, it's not hard. It's like, so great. I don't mean for it to be a flex or anything, but it's easier than you think.
Well, so hey, by the way, guys, my audience, I'm learning so much about Aaron right now. We got to meet each other at an event where we were both being certified down in Miami, Florida. And that's where I got to get connected with him. Great guy. I loved his story. I loved his passion for being a good dad, for growing his business and so forth. But I'm learning a lot of new things about him today. So there's a lot of layers to the onion that we're peeling back. I was excited when you share with me, we're coming from the north. We're going to the furthest west that we can go. We're going to the Midwest. We're going back east, and like just that travel, living in different cities is exciting. It sounds like to me. But of all the things, so like taking the 40K, like having the senior vice president for getting your first deal, now going to closing your 7th deal, getting this coaching business up. And by the way, congratulations on that. That's so awesome. I'm so excited about that opportunity. And by the way, I want to learn more about that. So I'm going to be following you. I'm going to be stalking you a little bit on that one. But then like, what would be your proudest achievement? The thing you're most proud of all the things you've accomplished so far in your life, what is your proudest achievement?
I would probably say it's the, I'm going to use the word balance. I don't know if it's the right way, but the ability to still be a present father to my daughter, the ability to still be a husband to my wife, and the ability to, this year we'll probably do $500,000 in revenue for our business, plus manage 15 hotels and lead teams and inspire other leaders to become best version of themselves. And I still have to travel for that job. So it's not that I'm not home every night. So being, you see a lot of, I don't know what the divorce rate is, but I know it's over 50% at this point.
Yep. Yes.
And, we're only, we're going to come up on our 5th year of marriage here, but like, I can tell that as I do more, our relationship gets stronger. And my wife came with me to GrowthCon this past year, and that was like a very strong awakening for us of like watching Grant and Elena and their family. And it's like, this is exactly what we want. I mean, we even talked about next year, we're probably going to scratch GrowthCon and go straight to couples retreat and spend time directly with them. Because I think that, GrowthCon's great. I mean, hyped up, great business conference, great connections, but it's like, we got to get more, because at the nights, like the parties and stuff, we broke away from some of that, and it was just a little too much. And it's like, okay, we want to focus more on that couple experience and building our brands together. So I would say my proudest achievement is being able to have that harmony. Harmony is better than balance. Harmony between being a father, being a husband, being present, because that's distracting. I mean, you get home, you're sitting there on your phone, you're like, I got another text. I got another deal coming through. I mean, everyone knows from 6 to 7 o'clock, you don't get me. No one gets me at 6 to 7, because that's Kai time. And like, awesome. I don't care if you're our owner of the hotel group, like I'm not picking up that phone. You're waiting until 7 o'clock. But I've been able to set these strict boundaries. But now everyone just knows, okay, I'm not going to reach out to them until 7 o'clock.
That's great. I love that. I heard one time, I think it was a book added value to me. It just said you can build boundaries without erecting fences. I mean, you just know that they're hard boundaries, that everybody knows where they are. We know where the property line is, but I don't have to put a fence there, because we all will respect those boundaries. It sounds like you made some out there in order for you to be present. And I think balance is a byproduct. It's like it's a byproduct of what you prioritize. And in this case, you prioritize the time with your daughter, time with your wife, to where balance is just kind of like fruit. It's just the natural outpouring of something that you prioritize in your life. That's at least my thought on it. What about growing? Like, so how do you go about developing your stuff right now?
A lot of it's, I would say e-learning. Obviously, going to GrowthCon, that's huge growth, because that puts you in rooms with, like-minded individuals. Throwing myself into local networking events. I do a lot of real estate events here in Indianapolis. A lot of networking on social media, just reaching out to people, picking up the phone, because that was honestly like something that I was a little scared of, is talking to people on the phone. And being in sales, you wouldn't think, like, because doing it for a job and then doing it for my business, that's two different things. Like, doing it for a job, I pick up the phone all day. Hey, you need hotel rooms. Hey, you need meeting space. Hey, like that was, but like, hey, I'm starting a business. Do you want to give me money? Hey, hey, I'm buying a house. Like, so I would say, honestly, to quick answer, put myself in uncomfortable situations consistently is probably how I grow myself.
I think it was John Maxwell said that growth is always on the opposite side of the street of your comfort zone. So if you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Yeah.
So putting yourself in an uncomfortable space is very important. So how do you, so the real estate and coaching business, how'd you know that, like, coming to that, like, what was the progression? Was it just that, like, 40K, going to dump it into a house? How did you come to that?
So that was a mistake to do it that way, honestly. That was like, you want to talk about mistakes. That's a stupid thing to do, is take all your money and drop it into a house. And, you know, it's way smarter if you can leverage debt. But I didn't know that at the time. But what I did know is that real estate was extremely powerful. I knew that I could create a business and depreciate an asset. I knew for 27 and a half years on my taxes, I knew that by holding on to real estate for a long period of time, there was appreciation value, and I could sell that house and put it into a bigger asset with bigger return. And then I also knew that if I put people in that house to pay down my principal, again, when I go to sell it, that's more money that comes back to my pocket. I studied a lot of millionaires and what they were doing, started looking at some billionaires and what they were doing, and all of them had one thing in common, was real estate investment. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta look into this. And then I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was like
Robert
Kiyosaki. I was like,
changed it for me too.
So yeah, that was where I was like, okay, we have to do something now.
Yeah. So you followed success.
Yeah.
And they say that success leaves clues.
Oh yeah, and they're obvious clues. They're literally like, why aren't you buying real estate?
I was just thinking, like, when you're talking, I think we probably all interpret what somebody else is saying through the lens of our own life, and like, where does that match up? And like, you know, if I would have followed that advice, what would I have done differently? And I think sometimes, like, you don't know what you don't know. I get that. I mean, like, I haven't learned this yet, so I have no awareness. But then I think you won't see what you choose not to see. Like, if you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, you're not going to see some things. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, like, because I was on that Dave Ramsey philosophy, and it's like, oh, I got to control all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't really sound fun. So I was like, maybe there's another way. So somebody, and I can't remember who it was, somebody just mentioned Kiyosaki. I bought his book, and I was like, oh man, I love the philosophy, the I don't know, internal conflict between security and freedom. And I was like, you know what? I want freedom. Hang security. So, because I'm more risk averse, but when I thought about freedom being out there, or I could be safe, play it safe, and then die owing money, I thought, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to charge forward. And so that's what awakened my awareness too. So I think, you're talking about, like, those following the successes meant a lot in my journey as well.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey, man, that guy, he just fires me up. I don't even get me started about him, man. That dude thinks you can save your way to wealth, and I doubt that dude doesn't have some real estate sitting somewhere.
I would imagine he does. I would just think he does.
I don't know. I don't like his message. Now, I like his message for people that are irresponsible and not disciplined.
Yeah.
But, like, train that discipline and become responsible, like, versus just save all your money, you know, live poor, and, you know, don't have any debt. It's like, I don't know. I think within the next 3 years, I will probably have upward of $12 million in debt, but it'll also be probably $5 million in equity, which, you know, times, I mean, here, I'll tell you real quick what I'm looking at. 12.
This is going to be golden. Those that are watching this is awesome. This is exactly what the wealthy do, at least the wealthy minded. He talked about $12 million in debt with $5 million in equity. Over time?
Next 3 years.
Okay.
So how I plan to do $5.5 million in equity. This is how I plan to do it. This year I'm going to buy 12 houses. Next year I'm going to buy 24 houses. Or 24 doors, so it could be duplexes, or you know, quads, or some apartments, right? Doors, and then 48 doors in year 3. My average cash flow right now is about $400 to $500 per door. I broke that down to 300 just to be conservative. Yeah, that's gonna cash flow me on those houses. Yeah, every month, $25,000.
Wow.
Times
you hear 12, that, guys? That's huge. I hope you're listening.
302. Cash. So and I'm probably going to hire a management company so that, you know, right now I don't have a management company. At 7 houses, you don't need, it's too small. I probably would get some time back if I did it.
I cannot wait to hear how you've grown in that, like when you knew it was the right time to get a property manager. As I talk with, I coach and consult with some people that are in that, and they got 1 or 2 and they're already thinking about it. And you're like, dude, I got 7.
I'm thinking about it. Trust me. There's a lot of time that I spend at these houses where I'm just like, God, this should be somebody else's problem, or like I did for our Airbnb. I did hire a property management company for that because that's a lot of guest interaction. There's a lot of moving parts there. But I put some non-negotiables in our contract, like my cleaner stays, my landscaper stays, and they were like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, well, then you're not the management company. Like, so I built up a good team that I can just trust. And I just, when they were like, oh no, we use our people, I'm like, well, I'm not going to use your people. You're going to use my people. And if you can't use my people, then I'm not going to pay you the 20%. Like,
wow. That's great. I can't wait to hear more about that. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts of your life, bringing balance, knowing where the boundaries are when you come home. What about having that feeling of overwhelm, or if you ever feel stuck? What do you do then?
Well, like last night was a perfect example of that. We were looking at buying another house. So closing on one this Friday, but putting another one under contracts, you know, this week. And I mean, we're sitting there with high runs of credit. Like that's how we run these deals. You get them on credit, and you know, I have to figure out a whole nother line of equity to pull to get that deal down, just so I don't have to use any of like our actual money. And I'm sitting there just writing down every dollar that I have out there, every dollar that I've had committed from a private money lender or a private money fund. You know, my hard money lender will give me money whenever I want, like, because they evaluate the deal, and if the deal flows, they're like, let's go. And last night I'm just sitting there, I'm like stressed out. I have one house that had a complete flood that happened in it from a tenant. So, you know, that is under construction. I have a house that a contractor stole $40,000 from us that I'm needing to flip, and where I would have made.
My heart's racing right now. My heart's racing.
Yeah, like not every deal is a good deal, because, and this falls on me, a lack of accountability on a contractor for too long. And a house that I was about to make $80,000 on, I'm looking at breaking even. And, you know, that stresses me out. And, you know, so there's a lot on it. And even like today, I was on the phone with a lender, and he's like, you got to dump that property. I'm like, I know, I get it. Going on the market on Friday, like, trust me, I know. But when it all comes down to it, like how I get over all that is I just have a conversation with my wife about it, about like, this is where we're at. I am extremely uncomfortable. I want to buy another house. I know it's a good deal, because I mean, I actually just closed the documents, $542,000 in cash flow a month. Like it's a smoking gun deal. Like, but you know, it's having that conversation about, okay, can we do this? Where can we pull money from? Where can we get a little extra help from somebody, you know, buy money from somebody, and, you know, just help us flow through this short period of time. Because now I have a contractor that finished houses in 2.5, 3 months. So we're talking 3 months. 3 months, I'm through it. Yeah. If it wasn't for the 2 houses right now that I'm like a little stressed out of, one being a flood, the other one being, and actually the guy who's trying to sell the house right now just called me. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's sold.
Yeah, I hope that's good news for you.
Yeah. So, but it comes down to having a conversation, talking it out. And once I start talking things out, I go, we're talking 3 months. Yeah. Three months of money pressure. Like, we'll figure that out. We have another
90 days.
We got another 60 years in our life. Like, what are we worried about 3 months for?
That's awesome.
And once you talk through it, it's like, okay, let's go to bed. Like, we got another day tomorrow. Let's start off positive, and let's keep rolling. Love it. You know, my wife, she'll just look at me. She goes, so what do you got? What do you need to do about it? And I'm like, I got to hustle, and just start picking up the phone. I start calling people. Hey, I need to sell this house, or hey, I need to do this. Hey, you know, what do you got for me? Like, and that's it. Basically just comes down to her saying, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And versus, you know, creating excuses and everything under the sun.
Yeah. So my mentor has helped me to understand, one of the first principles he helped me to understand was, when the number one responsibility of a leader first is to define reality. Mm-hmm. What's really going on here? And I love what you brought out. Like, it's 3 months. Yeah. Like, we stand on our head for that one. I mean, like, it's 90 days, and this is history. We're gonna, cause us to go belly up right now. It's good stuff. What about a principle that's like guided you through life, that like the people that know you best, they see it lived out in your life? What would be one of those?
I'm gonna say the hope is not a strategy.
Okay.
People are afraid to use that word around me now because they know.
Hope so.
Yeah, they know I'm gonna come at them. It's like, hey, you can hope all you want, but if there's no action behind it, we're going nowhere. Yeah. So yeah, it's the whole taking action consistently, not relying on hope or a prayer or something like that. No, it's okay. What can I do? What is every energy that I can put forward to keep this ball rolling in the right direction?
Yeah. My grandfather used to say, you can hope in one hand and crap in the other one and see which one fills up faster.
Yeah.
It's like, because you're taking action. Like, the only hand that you're putting action to is the one that's going to fill up faster. What about a trait that that you want to learn, that you're looking like, okay, this is something that I'm lacking either in my business or in my personal life. This is something that I want to learn more about because it's going to help me be the better person that I want to be.
I'd say from a business standpoint, it would be the marketing reach.
Okay.
Right now I'm operating on Powerbase, which is, for those who don't know what Powerbase is, it's your close friends, family, relatives, Facebook friends, LinkedIn connections. I mean, so you're talking maybe a group of 2,000 people at most. And a lot of people, that's maybe 10 people, right? Mm-hmm. But it's getting a reach out there to more. There's a lot of people that are they get stuck in that 9 to 5 loop. Maybe they're relying on Social Security. I know my age, I don't have the benefit of Social Security in a couple of years. Right. By the time 2030 something rolls around, 2035, Social Security is completely cut. So, and I mean, getting to reach out there of like 401k it's a scam. Like it really is,
tax procrastination.
Yeah. I think it was 1950s where they had that 90% tax on the 401k pullout. And it's like, that's scary. Like you get to the end, you think you have $1 million in your bank account, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, no, we're gonna keep half of it.
You have 250, you have 375. That's summing up.
Yeah, and $1 million in 30 years is not what $1 million is today. Mm-hmm. Like I actually even think maybe unpopular opinion, I don't even think $1 million is a lot of money right now. We're shooting for the billion mark. That's our goal. So me, $1 million, it's not that much money.
Yeah. And because $1 million, there's some people that'll make $1 million in their 25, 30 years of income. They'll make $1 million, but $1 million is not a lot of money, especially when that's the target for some people on an annual basis. They'd like to make $1 million every year. If they got, like what you said, 25, 30 more years, that's 30 million. What are they going to need at that time to retire, quote unquote, retire on? I don't know what retirement, that's a great other question for another time. I'm sure I'd love to hear your thoughts on what retirement looks like for you, but
I'm going to work at the Lowe's Pro Desk. That's a simple answer.
What's that one?
I'm going to work at the Lowe's Pro Desk. That's a simple answer. That's what retirement looks like for me. I'm going to pass the business along to my daughter, and I'm going to go work at the Pro Desk.
I love it. Never heard that one before. Okay.
Oh, that's like my dream job right there. That's what a great gig. You just sit there and you just talk to people as they come in.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So, okay. A big life lesson that you love sharing with people. When you get an opportunity, somebody gives you the microphone, somebody gives you the stage, you got the room, what do you say?
Quit buying into the bullshit. Turn off the freaking news and make something that makes, go make the news. Again, this goes back to the whole 401k thing, man. I pulled out of mine completely. Kristen's about to pull out of hers. She 20 grand. We're going to pull that out. We're going to go buy a house with it because we know that $20,000 that we go throw into a house is going to make us $200,000 in a matter of 20 years. And like, I have a whole compounding calculator that shows how that works. So it's like, do I put it into a 401k that, you know, maybe 9, maybe 12% up? Right now, hers is like 16% down. So I'm like, we gotta get that money out of there. Like the lady on the phone last night, we called last night to pull it out, and she's like, well, you're gonna get hit with a 10% penalty. I'm like, lady, I'm gonna make that back in a year. Like, get out of here. Like, right. Like, real estate is it's still appreciating. This whole recession thing, it's not happening. Like, we're, at least in the Indianapolis market, we're still selling houses over asking price. Like, that's still happening. We're still getting multiple offers on houses. Like, I have to be quick to react on, like, 48 hours to put an offer in on a deal, or it's going to the next investor.
Wow.
So the deals are still out there. And they're making this whole thing seem doom and gloom. But if you think about it, if COVID did not happen, the interest rates today would be at 6%. The only reason why everyone's like panic mode is because COVID happened, interest rates dropped to 2.5%, and now they're inflating them back to where they were. They were at 5%. We're at 6% now. You know, on a DSCR loan, I'm at about 9%. Like, we're still making money. You know,
first home I ever got a mortgage on, 10 1/8%. And I'm like, people are screaming about 6%. I'm like, dude, I came into this thing at 10 1/8, and that's the best. That was the best that I could do back then. And that was decent.
Yeah. And that's, you know, you look at, I think it was like the 80s is when it was in the 18 or 19%.
Yeah, like 14, 15. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like 6%, whatever. Like, I mean, my short-term loan, these are at 12. I do at 12% because it's one, it's easy math. And two, like, they're short-term. It's quick. I only make 2 or 3 interest payments and I'm out of that one. Wow. And then I convert it over.
So somebody's listening to this call right now, and what advice would you give them? Maybe they're thinking that I'm going to go into business for myself someday. They've got kind of like that entrepreneur itch. They're still in their it's a corporate, it's a 9 to 5, whatever it is. What should they be focusing on right now, you think?
Get out of the paralysis analysis and just take action. Find what you're passionate about and just go with it. I mean, make yourself money. I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, I love my company. I love working for my company. Don't get me wrong, but like, I also see how much money my company's making. I'm like, well, why can't I do this for myself?
Yeah.
And if you think about hotels, it's real estate, right? So I'm gonna do it in the single family and the multifamily space. Like, it's the same thing. You get a little cash flow dribble on the side right now, and you know, as that builds up and as that compounds, I showed you $25,000 a month, $300,000 a year to literally not do anything other than pay a property manager. Like, I don't know. It sounds like a deal to me.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Where can people find you to either on social media or reach out to you for your 12-week course to become another client? How can they find you?
Yeah, at Modern Legacy Dad. That's on Instagram and TikTok. Those are my 2 big channels. LinkedIn, I'm not very active on LinkedIn, but one post a day, but Aaron Goodwin on LinkedIn as well. Those are great spots. And then if you're just on email, aaron@yourmodernlegacy.com.
Your Modern Legacy. Okay.
Yeah, just creating people's legacies.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Aaron, for joining me on the call today. I appreciate that so much.
Thanks for the invite. This is great. I really appreciate it.
I love getting to hear your story and getting to peel back some of the layers of the onion. And there's a lot of depth. You've got a lot of depth to you.
I appreciate that. I mean, it was a great opportunity to share my story. And I mean, if I can be of any help to any of your listeners, like, have them just reach out. I really do want to help people realize that real estate investment is not hard. It's not hard to get into. It's very easy to leverage other people's money. And it's the best way to set yourself up for success. And, you know, you asked for another piece of advice. Like, so we have our daughter, right? I could buy a house right now, hold on to it for 18 years, sell that house, pull $200,000 out of the profits, 18 years, right? And now pay for her entire college.
Wow.
Or you can put it into a 529 and hope that the market does what it needs to do. And also hope that there's no additional regulations that the government throws on it over the next 18 years.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. Yeah. When you go to sell a house, make $200,000, you can pay, by that time, it's probably only half college. Okay, so I bought 2 houses over a course of 18 years. Now I can pay for entire college and not have to worry about it. Like, I don't know. That to me, that makes more sense.
I love it. I know I'm personally going to be connected with Aaron in the future for sure. I want to thank everybody viewing this call today and following me at TMC Coaching. You can learn more about me and what I do at tmccoaching.org. If you want to connect with me for more information on what I do or get connected, if you missed out on anything that Aaron mentioned as far as how you can connect with him, you can reach out to me at Tracy at tmccoaching.org. And until next time, y'all, surround yourself with great people who can elevate your thinking and inspire you to dig deep and do more. We'll talk to you next time.
On behalf of Tracy, thank you for watching this episode of the Collaborative Entrepreneur Podcast. Be sure to like this video and turn on notifications for future episodes coming out every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to learn more about Tracy and the work that he does, you can find us at 180turnarounds.com. Also on all social media platforms under 180 Turnarounds. If you want to get in touch with Tracy about being on the Collaborative Entrepreneur Podcast, you can do so by emailing us at tracy@tmccoaching.org. Let us know the industry that you're in, as well as some wins and learns that you've had along the way. So until next time, let's win together.